Which sport has the biggest gap between performance in 2018 and 40 years ago, 1968? Basketball, baseball, where they're just throwing the ball 110 miles an hour, NFL, where they're much bigger.
Not quite that fast, but okay.
A lot of people on Twitter hit me up. Golf has been transformed, probably equipment. Hockey, a lot of people said the players are way, way above what they used to be, and the goaltending techniques are better. So a lot of sports are better. Which sport is most radically different? I think football is the front runner because of the size.
Yeah, size and speed. Also, the style of football now to what it was in the 60s or 70s.
What about baseball? Seems the much bigger players now than back then.
Well, you had some big players back in the 90s. And even the 80s.
I have to go back. Yeah, it's weird. I have to go a little bit before that.
I think you had better baseball players because the game required you to be a better baseball player. Now you can be one-dimensional. I mean, Giancarlo Stanton is one-dimensional. And we saw what that one dimension can be and what it was during this series. I mean, he looked helpless at the plate. And that goes back to what I've said before. Man, when you're hitting home runs in their games and they're in June or July and they really don't mean a whole lot, but when it comes down to an at-bat, a pitch, a situation, that's the difference between moving on, maybe forcing a Game 5, maybe winning a World Series. It'll come down to that. This year will come down to that. Small things will decide it. It does in all these championships. It's really rare when it doesn't come down to something that is microscopic or something that is attention to detail. And I think that's the amazing part of it, that we get caught up in all the fanfare, all the highlights, and then it could be something as simple as an offsides, an audible. It could be 1 yard that you gain. It could be 1 yard you don't gain. It could be a pitch that you make, a pitch that you hit, a pitch that you take, taking an extra base, hitting the cutoff guy. Like, just small things will decide and always decides championships, McLovin.
Yeah, the fact that Belichick had practiced that play against this, that ended up being the interception by Malcolm Butler on the Seahawks and saw something. Yeah. You're right. Unbelievable. And the last year's Super Bowl came down to little moments here and there. It could have gone either way. Great point.
Yeah,
but you're kind of ruining the poll question.
Do you think baseball has regressed because of weightlifting and conditioning? Because back in the day, pitchers didn't throw as hard, so they could throw 8, 9 innings and have complete games. Complete games don't happen anymore. You'd think complete games would happen because the guys are in better shape. But no, they had 4. You'd see your star pitchers would be more relevant in today's game if there was less weightlifting and all that stuff.
But it's not as much that as you were a pitcher. Now they're throwers.
Right.
Like, we're amazed when you see somebody who's labeled a pitcher. Like, oh, my God. Oh, so that's a pitcher. Like, Clayton Kershaw is a pitcher. And he would be dominating no matter what era. But you have these guys who are fastball pitchers. Well, in other eras, they'll hit a fastball, but it's the guys who are pitchers that are rare nowadays because we don't develop them. It's the guy at the plate is trying to hit a home run and the guy on the mound is trying to strike you out. It didn't used to be that way. There were guys who won the home run title hitting 35 to 40 home runs. But you had these pitchers who realized, how do I get you out? And that's the difference. Nolan Ryan would be great today. Nolan Ryan would be a thrower, but he had to learn to be a pitcher. And he also had a great changeup and curveball, but he learned to be a pitcher. Randy Johnson could throw it 100 miles an hour. Randy Johnson had to learn to be a pitcher. These guys now, they just want to throw the ball really hard. Yeah, Fritzy.
And to your point on one-dimensional players from previous generations to now, it's, Paul O'Neill said it the other day, and you've mentioned it many times. These guys aren't embarrassed when they strike out or break all kinds of records, 100, 150 times striking out. As long as they hit a certain number of home runs by the end of the year, they're okay with that.
Yeah, it used to be embarrassing if you struck out 100 times. Guys would walk back to the dugout with their head down. Like, you were embarrassed when you struck out. Now, these guys yeah, how did I look? Man, that was a great cut. Yeah, but you struck out, though. Yeah, but how did I look? Man, you look bad. You look tough. Yeah, Paul.
I also think football is way worse because of the over-conditioning. Every person on the field is in unbelievable shape, back in the 80s, there's every team had one athlete that stood out, like Earl Campbell or Billy Sims, where he could take over a game, where the running backs were the feature. Now, because there's so many fast guys on defense, there can't be star running backs anymore, where they're just breakaway backs who blow people away. Bo Jackson wouldn't exist today. He would not run for, it wouldn't happen. There's too many other guys who are in similar condition to Bo Jackson.
The game has changed. It's not because of the conditioning. It's they don't use a running back. The passing rules are so easy. There's no reason to go, let's concentrate on having a great running game. I mean, even Jacksonville's trying to have a passing game with Blake Bortles. Now, granted, Leonard Fournette's been out, but I'm just looking at these numbers. Drew Brees is completing almost 78% of his passes. Tua Tagovailoa is completing, I think, 75% of his passes. These are all record-setting numbers, and nobody's really noticing this. It's just like, yeah, here it is. Yeah, but by the way, I was shocked when I realized Drew Brees is completing almost 78% of his passes.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.